Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Manifestation Method podcast. I'm your host, Ayelet Polonsky, and today we're diving deep into a topic that has been coming up a lot in my sessions with clients, coming up in gatherings and circles and friendships of mine, and maybe even in your own heart lately. And that is the topic of soul contracts and energetic cord cutting. So, this episode is for you if you've ever wondered why certain people enter your life and then shake your world up, or why some connections feel magnetic but exhausting, or how to honor someone's role in your life, someone who you might still want in your life, while still choosing freedom, sovereignty, and peace. So go ahead and take a deep breath because this episode is going to feel like a warm soul bath. So let's jump in. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Together, we'll journey into your deepest authenticity. Because the more you align with who you truly are, the more effortlessly you call in the life that you desire and deserve. And most importantly, the more you step into your soul's highest purpose. Welcome to the Manifestation Method podcast, your number one source for Kabbalistic manifestation. Here we combine the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, modern psychology, and quantum physics to help you achieve real, tangible manifestation results with my proven Abra method. I'm Ayelet Polonsky, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of manifesting a life that is aligned, expansive, and deeply connected to your highest self through the sacred energetic mechanics of Kabbalistic manifestation. To learn how to use Kabbalistic manifestation to transform your life from the inside out, go to ayeletpolonsky.com or download the Manifestation Method app. Let's open the gates of manifestation together. Let's start with the big question. What exactly is a soul contract? So a soul contract is an energetic agreement that you make before you come into this body, so before this lifetime, with another soul. So yes, before you're even born, your soul, in its infinite wisdom, chooses certain people, circumstances, and experiences to help you grow, evolve, and awaken to your full divine potential. So you can think of it like casting a movie, except only in this movie, you happen to be the lead actor, the director, and the one learning the most from your own script. And now these contracts are not about punishment. They are about remembering who you truly are. They're designed to help you evolve through the lens of love, of loss and betrayal, of joy and truth, even. And some contracts are light and beautiful, like certain soulmates or mentors or people who feel like kindred spirits. But others can be tough or sticky and deeply karmic. So maybe someone like a twin flame, or certain narcissistic empath dynamics, or relationships that crack your heart open so you can rebuild it from a new baseline of truth and alignment. Now, in Kabbalah, we are taught that each soul comes into this world with what's called a unique tikkun, or a spiritual correction, or a specific message or mission specific to your soul. And before we're born, our soul makes agreements with other souls to meet in this lifetime for a specific purpose. It can be to awaken you, to challenge you, to teach you how to love, to help you heal karmic patterns. And ultimately, it's here to fulfill your soul's tikkun or purpose. Now, these soul contracts are made in the higher worlds. They're made in the spiritual realms of Atzilut, also known as the world of emanation. This is the world where clarity reigns, and the soul, before it takes form in physical body, is able to see beyond time. And so it's from this kind of bird's eye view of our incarnation that we willingly choose both the light and the shadow that we're going to face, both the good and the painful that we're going to experience in one lifetime. Because from that bird's eye view perspective, we know that it all serves our ultimate growth and spiritual evolution. And some soul contracts are for a season, some last a lifetime, some are catalysts, and some are simply comforts. But no matter what, every soul contract that you experience in your lifetime is sacred and is not coincidental, but is here for a very divine mission and a very divine reason. Right? So these contracts are essentially expressions of, if you look at the tree of life with all of the sfirot, right? They are expressions of chesed, which is an expression of loving kindness, as well as givura, which is an expression of discipline, and ultimately an expression of tiferet, which means beauty and harmony. It's the balance of opposites that helps our soul evolve. We are constantly in our lifetime experiencing this balance of opposites. So if you're someone who gives too much chesed, let's say you give unconditionally without boundaries, right? Your tikkun, or your soul's fixing in this lifetime, might be to learn how to have more gevura, how to express more loving boundaries in order to get you to come to a place of alignment, right? To a place of tiferet, which we said is beauty and harmony. And it's these soul contracts that serve as sacred mirrors that reflect in us the places that we would not be able to see, essentially, if we were living on planet Earth by ourselves. So essentially, these people are guides, they are helpers, they are teachers, even if sometimes it doesn't really feel that way. And the word cord cutting in Kabbalah isn't necessarily used in classical Kabbalistic texts, but the concept aligns with Kabbalah's understanding of energetic entanglement and spiritual boundaries. Because Kabbalah teaches that when two souls interact, they actually create energetic bonds. They create connections that can be either super nourishing or draining. Now, these bonds are formed through the ruach, the emotional and intellectual level of the soul, as well as the nefesh, or one's life force. So when you hold on to past pain or resentment or unresolved dynamics, those cords will keep looping energy between you and the other person. So cord cutting in this context is the spiritual practice of restoring your vessel, restoring your kli. In other words, it's about reclaiming your energy and closing the leaks in your aura so that your light can flow freely again. And it's important to note that Kabbalah would say that cord cutting is definitely not about severing love or cutting off the love. It's more so about removing the klipot, or the energetic shells or blockages that obscure love's true flow. So again, it's about coming into that free-flowing place of divine alignment in yourself, where you can come back to that place of tiferet, of harmony. And when cord cutting is done with intention and compassion, the cord cutting actually fulfills a soul contract, one that is a part of your overall tikkun, or spiritual mission. In a way, it completes a cycle, and it allows both souls to continue on their path without extra karmic residue. So some Kabbalistic reminders that are important to note here is that your da'at, or your inner knowing, your inner awareness, is key. In other words, you must trust your inner wisdom about when a contract needs to be fulfilled, or even when a contract has been fulfilled. And you need to know when to cut that cord or when to maybe walk away. Another thing to remember here is that cord cutting is often part of your tikkun. It's part of your soul's correction. Like I said, it's not an escape, but rather a sacred release of that which really isn't serving your highest good and isn't serving the highest good of the other person involved. And most importantly, I'm saying this also for myself to remember, is that love never needs to be cut when cutting a cord, right? Only the cords that distort the love are what we're cutting here. And the purpose of a soul contract can be really encapsulated in one word, and that one word is growth. Ultimately, you came here to planet Earth to remember who you are beyond your ego, beyond your fear, beyond the wounds that you might carry. And soul contracts really serve as the activation points that catalyze that awakening, right? So soul contracts might teach you really important lessons that you can only learn in human 3D form. And some of those lessons might look like self-worth, boundaries, forgiveness, discernment, sovereignty, or it might even be a lesson of how to choose yourself again and again, right? So sometimes the lesson is to stay in that connection and to love even deeper. But other times it's okay to walk away and to break the pattern completely. Both ways of meeting a soul contract and cutting that cord are holy. And both directions, whether you stay or whether you walk away, are really part of your soul's curriculum in this lifetime. And that being said, it's important to say something out loud. Not all soul contracts are meant to last forever. Some people are here for a season. Some people are here for a lesson. Some people are here for a chapter. They're not here for the whole book. I mean, think about it. If you've had multiple ex-boyfriends or ex-girlfriends, you're not going to marry every single ex-boyfriend or every single ex-girlfriend. Sometimes you just have to walk away. And sometimes walking away means cutting cords between you and that person so that you're not carrying the baggage from the past into the present, and it's causing this hangover in your current relationships or in your current everyday life, right? So, and whether a person, a soul contract is here for a season or whether they're here for the whole book doesn't make one any more or less sacred than the next. They're all here to serve a divine lesson, ultimately for your growth. But when we cling to a connection that has served its soul contract, right? When we try to hold on with force or we're latching on to something that really is not meant to serve us anymore, you'll find yourself beginning to experience like pain, confusion, energetic entanglement. And again, this is where the cord cutting comes in, right? So ultimately, cord cutting is a spiritual practice that helps you release unhealthy energetic attachments to another person, experience, or pattern. Okay, so every time you connect with someone deeply, especially through love or intimacy or even trauma. Yes, we can connect with someone deeply through trauma. It's called a trauma bond. Right? When we do that, energetic cords form between you and that other person. And these cords are not inherently bad, but they can become draining, especially if the connection is codependent, if there's unspoken resentment or guilt, if you feel hooked or haunted by someone's energy, if you've broken up with someone but still feel stuck in that past relationship, if you are currently in a relationship but you can't seem to knock the ex-boyfriend or girlfriend out of your mind, or certain memories still come up, or you find yourself comparing your current relationship to your past relationship, right? Or they can become draining if you're looping in old emotional patterns that no longer serve you. So cord cutting doesn't necessarily mean you have to hate the person. And it doesn't mean that you're erasing the love or the goodness that came from that dynamic. It simply means that you're reclaiming your energy and you're setting yourself free. You're setting yourself free from the parts of the bond that don't serve your evolution anymore. Like you're ready to just upgrade, up level, alchemize something, move on. So how do we do a cord cutting ritual? So there's different ways that people approach this sacred ritual. I have my way of doing it. Um, so I want to share that with you. And I see cord cutting as a sacred act of energetic hygiene, right? It's a way to release what no longer serves you so that you can really harness and call your energy back home. It's like you don't want to allow the connections from these people into your temple, into your sacred space. So this process is about truth, it's about tenderness, it's about releasing a person or a situation with so much love, and it's deeply about self-liberation. Okay, so here's a step-by-step ritual that you can follow. I recommend that you really take your time and be intentional with each step to this process and let your soul lead. Try not to get your head too much in the way, but really let your soul speak for itself. So step one is to write out the unspoken. What does that look like? It means you start writing in a raw, unfiltered letter. Literally put pen to paper and you write as if nobody in the whole wide world will ever read it. Okay, so this is where you get to release the weight from your heart. I really recommend that you go all out. You say the things that you wish you could say to the person, but maybe don't have the guts to, right? So you write out the hurt, you write out the anger, the grief, the confusion. Be messy, be honest, be real, don't hold back. Really say the worst things that you never had the courage to speak out loud. Put it all on paper, let it pour out. The words that were swallowed and not spoken are emotions that get stuck in your body. So this writing process is not about judging the other person. It's about energetically releasing the pent up, stuck emotions that are really still being harbored in your tissues and in your sinews and in your muscles and in your energy body. So that's step one. Step two is to get clear on what it is you're releasing. Okay, so this is where it asks for a little bit more intentional reflection. For you to write down what is the energetic pattern that you are ready to let go of. Maybe you can write down what part of you is clinging to this other person or situation or experience out of fear or unworthiness or scarcity. You can write down here what stories you're holding on to, that this person completed you, that you won't find love again, that this was your only shot, that there's nobody better out there, I'll never find someone like this ever again, right? What is it that you're still clinging on to? What is the fear behind why you're clinging on to it? Okay, and write it down and declare it clearly. So it can look something along the lines of, I release the version of myself who stayed small. I release the fear of being alone, and I release the belief that I'm not enough. So step two is really about declaring what it is that you are ready to let go of. And step three is to take ownership of your own role in the dynamic. And this part can get tricky because it's really about radical self-honesty. It's not about shame. It's not about beating yourself up. It's not about making yourself small. It's rather about empowerment. It's about taking responsibility. So in this third step, I generally ask myself, how did I show up in this dynamic? What patterns or behaviors did I repeat? What limiting beliefs did I carry into the connection? Or what wound in me created this bond in the first place? What was causing me to attach to this person in the first place? Something about this person initially probably felt really good and they were serving some sort of a purpose. So you bonded to this person. But what is it? How did you show up in this dynamic? Because when you take responsibility for your side of the contract, you actually reclaim your power to not just release it, but to rewrite the limiting belief or the pattern that you showed up to the dynamic with, that you showed up to the relationship with. So step 3 is really about taking radical ownership of your role in the dynamic. And step 4 is about naming the lessons, because every soul contract carries with it a lot of wisdom, even the painful ones. Okay, so this step is about writing out all the divine lessons that you've learned. You don't want to walk away from a contract before receiving the wisdom that you came here to receive, because that's really how you complete your tikkun in that dynamic. So you can write down something like, I learned to speak my truth with this person, or I learned how to set boundaries as a result of this dynamic. I learned that my needs matter, or I learned to choose myself, or I learned that I need to really express myself fully and authentically and not shrink next to this person. Whatever your lessons are, honor them all, because these are the jewels that are going to carry you forward. So step 4 was about naming the lessons. And that takes us to step 5, which is declare who you're becoming. So I love this piece because this is where manifestation comes in, right? This is where I write a letter to my future self or to a future partner or friend, but I write this letter from my new vibration. Okay, so I write down, what is it that I'm calling in now? What kind of connection am I ready to receive? And how does it feel to be fully met or seen or cherished by what it is that I'm calling in? So here you describe the future you that's free from this old pattern. Now, this isn't just intention setting, it's an actual energetic declaration. And it's a really important part to help manifest the new version of you that you're becoming and the new version of a new soul contract that, let's say, that you're calling in. And step 6 is to drop into ritual. So this is where we receive the energetic release. And you can do this inside your home. You can do it outdoors. You could do it under the moon. It really doesn't matter, because really where consciousness goes, energy flows. So this step has everything to do with your intention. So trust your intuition and really trust it to guide you. So here's where we're breaking down the ritual part into a few micro steps. So for me, I always get first into a meditative state. I sit quietly, I breathe deeply, I do a gentle body scan. It doesn't have to be a long process, but just really dropping into my body and entering into the present moment. And then I ask myself, where in my body do I feel this cord most strongly? Is it my solar plexus? Is it my heart? Is it my womb or my mind? And then I visualize the cord. So I actually visualize a rope or a cord extending from that place in my body where I sensed the cord most strongly. And I see it connected to the other person. I see it connected to the experience or the pattern. Really try to feel it and let it reveal itself. And then the next step is you prepare the fire, and you can actually do this literally, like physically or energetically. So you might light a candle or create a small cauldron, or you can just visualize a flame or a fire in front of you, right? Fire is the element that transforms, that alchemizes, that releases. Fire returns energy back to its source. So this is a really important part of the process, is to really just feel and see this fire or create a physical fire in front of you. And then you want to bless the cord before you cut it. So again, place the cord at the point of connection in your body and feel the other end still attached to the other person. And you want to do this process with so much love. So you want to send the other person love or grace or gratitude. And it's not because they necessarily deserve it, but because you do. Okay, so you can set an intention here. I like to set the intention. I now lovingly release any toxic ties or entanglements between us. I call my energy back home to myself. And then finally, you cut the cord. So you can visualize big golden scissors or a beam of light slicing through the cord. Really feel the energy flowing out of your system. Their energy flows back to them, and your energy flows back to you. And feel in your body the shift. Feel the sovereignty. Feel the empowerment. Feel the release. Feel the letting go of. And if you want to do this process with a real pair of scissors, or in a real cord, you're absolutely welcome to do so. If you have a cord and scissors, great. If not, it works with just intention alone. And then finally, I recommend you burn or bury the cord. Okay, so if you used a physical cord or a rope or something symbolic, burn it into the fire. Let it turn to ash. And make sure that if you do this, you don't leave the ashes in your home. You want to bury them outside. You want to return them back to the earth. This helps to really complete the cycle of rebirth that's happening here, essentially. And then finally, you want to call in the light. So you want to visualize a golden, radiant light flooding in the space where the cord once was. It's important to fill a void with light. Let it fill you. Let it seal you in love and protection. And you can say to yourself here, I am whole. I am sovereign. I am free. And then take a few deep breaths. Feel the lightness in your body. Notice how your body responds. You've just done some deep energetic work, so really give yourself a moment to recalibrate, right? Again, cord cutting is a reclamation. It's not about erasing someone, but releasing what no longer serves you. And even though this is an energetic process, energy is real, as we know if you've been listening to me for a while now. And we have to give it back to where it belongs. And that means it doesn't belong in your system, right? And so, again, you can also revisit this ritual anytime. Each time you do this, and especially if you feel like there's still some ties, some energetic bonds, some soul contracts run deeper, they're stronger, the ropes are thicker, the energetic ties are stronger. So you can do this as many times as you need to until you feel a real clearing, but just trust and know that each time you do it, it should bring you more clarity and it should bring you to a deeper place of inner peace. And it should really create more space for what's meant for you. Oftentimes after doing a cord cutting, I will find myself in a manifested reality where someone new comes into my life that really filled the spot of the person who I just cut ties with. Or let's say the person is still in my life and I don't want to necessarily cut them out completely. I'll notice that something really shifts in our dynamic and it becomes a lot healthier and the boundaries are just a lot more loving but stable and just overall healthier. And again, because I want to reiterate this because I know that a lot of you listening, and I've heard this again and again from clients and people that they're just afraid of doing cord cutting because they don't necessarily want to cut out the person completely. So this is important because cord cutting, again, it doesn't look like removing someone from your life unless it does, which is also okay. But it just means cutting out the toxic pattern, the energetic loop, the unspoken expectations, the karmic baggage, the unhealthy dynamics that exist between you and the person or the situation. Anything that's no longer aligned, that's what's getting cleared. So you can still really deeply love someone and consciously release the cords that create guilt and control or resentment or over responsibility or emotional entanglement. For me, I had a cord cut with someone who took a lot of emotional responsibility for my parts. And because I'm someone who didn't grow up with knowing how to self-regulate, having this person in my life take emotional responsibility for my parts when they would start acting up. And this person would say things like, you don't have to be in it alone. I am your protector. I'm taking responsibility for you. You don't have to be in your pain all by yourself. And it was like she was feeding my really hungry little children that just wanted to be fed love, and they didn't want to have to do the healing process alone. But that was me giving her a lot of power and a lot of responsibility. And it was me deflecting responsibility for myself, right? I wasn't caring for my hungry children. I wasn't catering to my parts fully, right? Because I was relying on the space that she was willing to fill in my life. And at a certain point in our dynamic, it occurred to me that that's what was going on. And I realized that there was an emotional entanglement here that actually was not healthy at all. Because the people pleaser in her wanted to take care of me because it was how she received my love. And the hungry inner children in me were receiving the love that they were hungry for in her. And so there was this like really interesting dynamic between us that felt good for a number of years until it no longer started to feel good anymore. And there was this like like a disrupt in our relationship that was a very painful disrupt. And I really had to go through like an inner excavation process to understand what the dynamic was here that was playing out between us. And once I realized it, I was still able to love her because she's a beautiful person, but I no longer needed her to take care of me in the same way because I came back to a place of sovereignty and empowerment and a willingness to care for myself. But it took a real rupture in our dynamic for me to come to that place of clarity, and the growth that came from it and the level of self-awareness. I might not have ever learned that lesson. And it was such a divine lesson for me to learn. I might not have ever learned it if it wasn't for her mirror in my life. She served as a mirror. She served as an actress in my play that was here to teach me this divine lesson. So this is really especially important when it comes to family members or co-parents or people that you really choose to keep in your life and not completely let go of. You might not want to, or you might not be able to remove them entirely, but you can release the unhealthy energetic ties between you. So this cord cutting allows you to stay in the relationship without the weight of the old dynamics. And then it offers space for you to show up more present, more authentic, more grounded in your truth, and with a stronger ability to honor what's real for you and to honor yourself and take care of yourself and not outsource that responsibility to other people. So it's not rejection, it's energetic sovereignty. Okay? And again, if someone does leave your life completely, I welcome and invite you to trust that too. Trust your inner knowing. Sometimes ending the contract is the most loving thing you can do for your soul and for theirs. Okay? So what can you expect after a cord cutting? So after a cord cutting, and it's important to know that some changes will feel immediate, while others might feel more subtle and they might feel like they're unfolding over time. But after a real cord cutting, like a true cord cutting, you'll most likely feel lighter, as if a weight has been lifted off your chest or off your body. You'll feel clearer, like a fog has lifted from your mind and emotions. You'll feel more like yourself, more reconnected to your intuition, your worth, and your truth. You might also, and this is important to note, you might feel emotional. You might feel tender, like a layer of armor has gently peeled away. I mean, you're doing real sacred energy work here. So anything can come up. And really, I invite you to have the courage to let whatever wants to present itself. It's all part of your energy field recalibrating and realigning with your natural frequency now that the old ties have been released. You might also notice that shifts happen in your current relationships, perhaps more peace, more clarity, more boundaries. You might sense or see changes in your dreams or sleep patterns as your subconscious really begins to integrate the release. You might experience a new way of responding to old triggers. You might see that where once upon a time you were reactive to a certain situation, now there's peace or spaciousness. Okay, so this is your nervous system catching up with your spirit. It's your soul remembering that you don't need to carry this anymore. And yes, it goes without saying, you might also feel waves of grief, even if the connection was painful. That's normal. You're not necessarily grieving the person, but you're grieving the version of yourself who stayed attached. You're grieving the story. You're grieving the hope or the illusion or the potential, right? Or maybe you are grieving the person if it is the person that you let go, or maybe it's a piece of yourself that you have to grieve because you've held on to it for so many years. So if this is the case, really let yourself feel it. Let yourself cry or journal or dance and rest, whatever helps you move through the emotion. Okay, grief is a sacred part of healing. It's not an act of denial. It's an act of self-love. And you're not erasing the past here, but you're honoring it. So every time you release an outdated tie, you make room for alignment, and you make more room for soul-led connections to take their place. This is true integration, and this is real freedom. So ultimately, every soul contract in your life, even the painful ones, came to teach you something sacred. And once the lesson is learned, you get to choose your next chapter with more wisdom and clarity and freedom. It's about honoring the role someone or something once played and choosing to align with your highest self moving forward. Remember, you are not broken. You're just remembering who you truly are, which is a sovereign soul here to love fully and live freely. So with that said, I leave you with a cord-cutting blessing. May you feel the lightness that follows release. May your heart exhale, unburdened by what no longer belongs. Where there was once entanglement, may there now be clarity. Where fear once lived, may trust take root. And may every part of you be filled with golden light, sealing you in wholeness, sovereignty, and peace. If grief comes, allow it to be sacred. Honor it, let it move, let it make space. May your energy recalibrate with ease, and may your soul know the truth that you are free, worthy, and ready. This act of relief and release is an act of self-love for you, for them, and for all that's yet to come. And so it is. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If it resonated with you, please take a moment to rate and review it. And if you feel called, share this with a friend who's navigating their own soul contracts. Until next time, trust your path, honor your growth, and never forget that you are more powerful than you've ever been told. Here's to your rising. If you enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going inside the Manifestation Method Portal app, your #1 destination for Kabbalistic manifestation. Inside, you'll unlock the secrets of manifestation through my proven Abra method, rooted in Kabbalah, psychology, and quantum physics, designed to help you manifest real, tangible results from the inside out. Join our global community of manifestors, explore our signature courses, monthly live manifestation workshops with me, Ayelet, and access our transformational hypno activations and attunements to rewire limiting beliefs and align with your soul's purpose. The app is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To sign up, head over to ayeletpolonsky.com. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Let's manifest the life you desire and deserve together.